regarding basic concepts of genetics. Today we will talk about chromosomal theory of inheritance. In my last video, I explained laws of inheritance, a clear concept of gene and allele. Let's proceed. In my last video, I gave you few questions which you can prepare notes which will help you in your exams. Today I will give you few more, that is, how genes are units of inheritance. Alleles are slightly different forms of genes. Justify your answer. Why Mendel's work was different from his contemporaries, or why Mendel was so successful with his experiments. Then, how sexual variation leads to evolution, or how sexual reproduction leads to variation. Next, how true breeding or pure breeding lines are developed. I have answered all these questions in my videos which are compiled in the playlist. You can go and visit. Let's begin. When we look at the genotypes of the individual, that is, for example, capital T, you know the phenotype is tall. But when you look at the phenotype tall, you cannot predict the genotype, because a tall plant can be either homozygous, capital T, or heterozygous, that is capital T, small t. In both the cases, the phenotype can be tall. So by simply looking at the phenotype, the genotype cannot be predicted. In order to determine the genotype of a particular phenotype, test crosses were conducted. Normally Mendel conducted selfing, that is, F1 individuals were allowed to cross or self-fertilize. One F1 individual was allowed to cross with another F1 individual. But in case of test crosses, the individual showing dominant phenotype, that is, in case of plant height, the dominant phenotype is tall. So the individual showing dominant phenotype whose genotype is to be examined. That is, over here we don't know whether this tall individual is capital T or capital T small t. So this tall individual whose genotype is to be determined is crossed with a homozygous recessive individual. This is the definition of test cross. So in order to determine the genotype of this tall individual, the two probabilities, that is capital T and capital T small t, these two probabilities, that is, these two individuals will be crossed with homozygous recessive individuals. This is one test cross, this is another test cross. After the results of test cross, we can know the parent which we are trying to examine. That is, for example, our parent is capital T. So after examining the offsprings, we will come to the conclusion that our parent is capital T tall. Over here, the example I have taken is that of flower color. It is given in NCERT book. A white flower which is homozygous recessive is crossed with a violet flower, and this violet flower is due to capital W. So this individual is showing the dominant phenotype, that is, it is violet, and it is either capital W or small w, or capital W, capital W. In both the cases, it is crossed with a homozygous recessive individual. Over here, these two are the gametes because of this, these two are the gametes because of this, and these are the offsprings. The offsprings produced over here, this one is violet because it is having one capital W, this one is also violet, these both are white. Over here, all the four offsprings are violet, all the four are having one at least capital W. So when all the offsprings are of the same phenotype, that means the question, that is our parent is homozygous dominant, because this parent will only produce recessive alleles. Recessive alleles will not express, the expression or the phenotype will be only because of dominant allele. Over here, two copies of dominant alleles are present, because of which all the four offsprings are having dominant phenotype. But over here, only one copy of dominant allele is present. So 50% of the offsprings are of dominant phenotype, and the another 50% are of recessive phenotype, because this recessive or homozygous recessive parent will only produce recessive offspring. In spite of so much of efforts and intelligence, the works of Mendel remain unrecognized. It was rediscovered in 1900 by Correns, Chermak and Hugo de Vries. Why Mendel did not gain popularity is an important question. At that time, the concepts of chromosome, gene, allele were not discovered. People did not know what is chromosome. Gradually, with time and with discovery of nucleus and microscopes, chromosome was discovered, or the concept of chromosome came into existence. Then Sutton and Boveri they assimilated all the concepts of Mendel. They used Mendel's laws of inheritance and their knowledge of chromosome, gene and allele, and synthesized everything and put forward everything into one theory, which is chromosomal theory of inheritance. I have enlisted all the points of chromosomal theory of inheritance which are very important. I will explain and that theory will be given on your screen.
Now let's start chromosomal theory of inheritance. There are 5 points under this theory. I will read out each theory and then explain it on board. You can write these points in your notes as well as use them for your exams. The first point under chromosomal theory of inheritance is behavior of chromosome is parallel to the behavior of genes, and both chromosomes and genes occur in pairs. Chromosomes are the genetic material responsible for Mendelian inheritance.
Mendel used the term factor for genes, but after discovery of chromosome, genes and alleles, Sutton and Boveri said that chromosomes appear in pairs, that is homologous chromosomes are present, and the behavior of genes and alleles are parallel with the behavior of chromosomes. That is, chromosomes carry or have genes and alleles in them, and chromosomes are the units of inheritance. That is, inheritance means passing on of characters. So, when parents produce gametes, these gametes fuse to form offsprings, and parents when produce gametes, they pass on their chromosomes, and these chromosomes have genes. So, genes are the units of inheritance. That is, genes carry the characters from one generation to another.
The next point is the two alleles of a gene pair are located on homologous sites on homologous chromosomes.
The second point means the alleles are present on homologous sites, which means locus. This locus is homologous to this one. That is, these both positions or points have the same gene or the same types of alleles which work for same character.
The next point is chromosomes from each homologous pair are sorted randomly into gametes during meiosis, that is anaphase 1 and anaphase 2. The meaning of sorted is arranged over here. The next 2 points as well as this third point will be explained first on the board. Then I will read out the next 4th and 5th point after explanation. The explanation of these 3 points will help you to understand figure 5.8 and 5.9 of NCERT also under the unit Principles of Inheritance and Variation.
In order to understand the next 3 points of chromosomal theory of inheritance, you have to recall meiosis. I will discuss the steps of meiosis briefly, which will help you to understand this theory better and in detail in my future video. Over here I have drawn one cell with 4 chromosomes. You have to imagine there are 46 chromosomes like them. These 2 are homologous and these 2 are homologous. So there are 2 pairs of homologous chromosomes. This is the first pair and this is the second pair. I have tried to draw them in different colors so that we can see the movement of these chromosomes when they will finally enter into 4 different gametes. As you all know, meiosis takes place during gametogenesis, and meiosis has 2 main stages, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Of course, interphase takes place before meiosis 1. Interphase has G1, S and G2. Meiosis 1 has prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, and meiosis 2 has prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. Prophase 1 of meiosis 1 is the longest phase. It includes stages such as leptotene, zygotene, pectine, diplotene and dikinesis, and in all these stages crossing over will take place. When this cell will enter into S phase, replication will take place, that is, the amount of DNA will get doubled. Before S phase, the number of DNA was 46, and after S phase, the number of DNA will be 92. This chromosome means 1 molecule of DNA. When replication takes place, 2 molecules of DNA will be present per chromosome, as a result of which there will be 2 chromatids per chromosome. So this chromosome will have 2 chromatids because this DNA has doubled. So this chromatid means 1 DNA and this chromatid means 1 DNA. This is 1 chromosome. Similarly, this chromosome will look like this one will look like this, and this one will look like this. So and the number of chromosomes are counted by the help of this structure, which is called as centromere. This is centromere. This is a disc-like structure, and this is this portion has a highly coiled segment of DNA. As you all know, DNA is coiled and taken this shape. So this portion has more coiling of DNA, and this is called as centromere, which I will talk about in my later video. and number of chromosomes are counted by counting the number of centromeres. So after doubling of DNA, the number of chromosomes remains the same only. After S phase, the number of DNA becomes 92, but the number of chromosomes stays 46 only, because they are counted by this position. So there are here, over here, there are only 4 chromosomes. Similarly, if we might have drawn 46 chromosomes, so we would have counted them 1, 2, 3, 4 in this way. But number of DNA is 92. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In this way, there are 92 molecules of DNA, but 46 molecules of chromosomes. So after S phase, this cell enters into meiosis 1, that is prophase 1, and in prophase 1, crossing over takes place. And in crossing over, as you all know, the homologous chromosomes, they come close to one another. So these chromosomes come close to one another, and protein complexes form in between them, and these proteins complexes help in exchange of segments. So when exchange of segments take place, a small blue segment will enter into this one, and small black segment will enter into this one, which I will discuss in detail in my next video. So as a result of which, this black one will have one small blue, and this blue will have small black. This segment will have small green, and this green will have small blue. In this way, after exchange, the resultant chromosomes will look like this, and after prophase 1, the homologous chromosomes will stay together because they are still attached to each other by the help of these protein complexes, which help them in crossing over. After prophase 1, this cell will enter into metaphase 1. Suppose there is a transparent football in front of you. Imagine that football to be a cell. These are the 2 poles of the cell. This is the middle portion of the cell. In metaphase 1, these chromosome pairs will arrange themselves in the middle of the cell. They will be scattered over here in the middle. This is our cell. Suppose this is our cell, 3D. And in middle, the cell, these chromosomes have arranged themselves. And there are, as you all know, there are 23 pairs. This is one pair, this is second pair. So there are 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes. So chromosomes are scattered over here. Suppose this hand is this chromosome and this hand is this chromosome. And these 2 fingers are this chromatid, this one is this chromatid. Similarly, and over here in the middle is the centromere. The poles of the cell will have centriole, and centriole help in the formation of spindle fiber, and spindle fibers attach to these centromeres, and these spindle fibers pull these chromosomes away from each other towards the poles. So if these are the chromosomes, they are present in this form. This is centromere, and spindle fiber is attaching to this centromere. So, suppose spindle fiber is attached over here, and over here centriole is forming spindle fiber, it is attaching to this centromere. So these spindle fibers will pull them away from each other, as a result of which these homologous chromosomes will move towards the poles of the cell. As a result of which, these 2 chromosomes will get away from each other and will enter into 2 cells which are produced from this single cell. So suppose the upper cell receives both these chromosomes from these pair, and this lower cell receives these 2 chromosomes. There is no fixed pattern that which chromosome will enter into which cell. Any chromosome can enter into any cell. Let's suppose this chromosome enters with this chromosome into this cell. This chromosome enters with this chromosome into this cell. There is no fixed pattern because these chromosomes are scattered in the middle. So spindle fiber can get attached to any centromere and pull any chromosome towards themselves. So after production of these 2 cells will enter into meiosis 2. They will enter into prophase 2, then metaphase 2. These chromosomes in these 2 cells, these chromosomes will scatter themselves in the middle. So let's suppose there are 2 such cells which we had imagined previously. There are 2 such cells, and these chromosomes are scattered in the middle. Now spindle fibers will be formed and they will be pulled apart from each other. So spindle fiber will attach to this centromere and this centromere, as a result of which now these chromosomes will split in the middle, and as a result of which one chromatid from every chromosome will move towards the pole, as a result of which we will have 4 cells at the end. From this cell these 2 cells are produced, from this cell these 2 cells are produced. These 2 chromatids, let's suppose, enters into this cell. So see, this black one has entered over here, and this blue along with black has entered into this. This black with a small blue segment has entered into this, and this one with one small green segment has entered into this. And these two chromatids have entered into this, and these two chromatids have entered into this. As a result of which, at the end we are having 4 cells, and these 4 cells will have different combinations, because this chromatid can move with this chromatid, or this chromatid can move with this chromatid. So this chromatid can have this one along with it in this cell. This can have this one along with it in this cell. So there can be any probability, or there can be any combination of chromosomes. This is law of independent assortment. Let's suppose this segment is capital Y and this is small y. This is capital R, this is small r. Let's suppose. So capital Y can move with small r, or small y can move with capital R. Any probability or any combination of chromosomes can be formed in these 4 cells. As a result of which, we have law of independent assortment, and those 3 points of chromosomal theory of inheritance are based upon these steps of meiosis, that is anaphase 1 and anaphase 2. Because of anaphase 1 and anaphase 2 only, we get different types of gametes from such individuals in dihedral cross. Over here, 4 types of gametes can be produced. Capital Y can move with capital R, because any chromatid can move with any other chromatid from other chromosome. This chromatid can move with this chromatid. This chromatid can move with this chromatid, or this chromatid can move with this chromatid. So there are various different possibilities. So capital Y can move with capital R, capital Y can move with small r, or small y can move with capital R, or small y can move with small r. So when fertilization takes place, any one gamete from these will fuse with any one gamete from another individual. So any type of individual can be produced from, any type of offspring can be produced from the individuals. So these probabilities arise because of crossing over and meiosis only. Yes. As you all know, there are many genes and many alleles present over here. We have shown only one gene or one allele over here. So when crossing over takes place, the probability of new combinations increases even more. This leads to lots of variation. So from this video, you can also get the answer that why sexual reproduction leads to variation. So those 3 points of chromosomal theory of inheritance are based upon the events in anaphase 1 and anaphase 2. So during anaphase 1, the homologous chromosomes, they are separating from one another and moving towards the poles. During anaphase 2, the chromatids from each chromosome are separating from one another and moving towards the poles. And while imagining these different probabilities, you have to understand that these chromosomes are free to move in space. Suppose this is one chromosome and this is another chromosome. These are in this way. So these chromosomes are present either in this way or this way or this way. So any chromosome can be present anywhere. The thing is, they are just attached at the point where crossing over has taken place. So they are free to move in space. You have to imagine this in 3D. Then only you can understand these different probabilities, which will lead to different types of gametes during gametogenesis. During oogenesis, only one cell from these cells will survive and lead to the formation of egg. During spermatogenesis, all these four cells can form sperms.
The fourth point of this theory is, during anaphase of meiosis 1, the 2 chromosome pairs can align at the metaphase plate independently of each other. Fifth point is, the pairing and separation of a pair of chromosomes would lead to the segregation of a pair of factors they carried. With this, we come to the end of this video. In the next lecture, we will talk about linkage and recombination for class 12. Share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.